We also have the pleasure today of welcoming Sister Judith Ann Karam from the Sisters of Charity. There she is, over there. We'd love to hear from you more about Mother Teresa and her work and founding of the Sisters of Charity. Thank you.
Well, I know how honored all of you are as Albanians to honor Mother Teresa, Saint Teresa of Calcutta, on this beautiful, wonderful day. I feel honored. I know Sister Kathleen does, and our other sisters and all religious women in the world, to have this woman religious being honored with sainthood, living her life fully as a woman religious. So today we celebrate her wonderful life. As Donna said, she was born and named Agnes on August 26, 1910, in Skopje, Yugoslavia. She lived fully God's plan for her. One of 3 children of parents of Albanian descent, she suffered the loss of her father at age 7. That was a very young age to lose her father. Close to her mother, she observed in her daily life, a woman so close to our God and of service to others. With limited means, her mother invited all in need around the family dinner table, each meal, and her mother said to St. Teresa, "Never eat a single meal," her mother used to say, "unless you are sharing it with others." End of quote. I believe today is a day of celebrating the mother of Saint Teresa of Calcutta. With such a God-centered home life, praying the rosary daily, caring for the poor, she did respond to God's call with a vocation to religious life at the age of 18, and chose the Loreto Sisters of Dublin in 1928. From a postulant year in Ireland, she entered the novitiate in India in 1929 and took first vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience in 1931. For the next 15 years, she taught women at St. Mary's High School in Calcutta. She used her free time to go out and visit with the poor. A sister in a religious order has a life of which listening to God in prayer, of seeking God in all things, is primary. St. Teresa knew whose she was. An annual retreat is a special time of silence with our God, to pray, to listen to God's Spirit, and to be healed of all that keeps us apart from Jesus. On September 10th in 1946, during her retreat, Mother Teresa was filled with a deep sense of the love of God, deep faith, surrender, and prayer. She experienced God's nudging inspiration to found a new order, to serve those in greatest need. She called it, and I quote, "a call within a call," end of quote. So for the next 2 years, she responded to this call to follow Christ into the slums and serve the poorest of the poor by moving forward with a new order. There were challenges that she met during this time to realize God's will. She was challenged to say goodbye to the Loreto Sisters, who she loved dearly. She had to get permission from the Pope to found a new order. And from the local bishop, she required permission to serve the poor openly on the streets of the slums without the safety of a convent. As she was released from the Loreto Sisters, she set aside their habit and took on the simple white sari to be able to serve and be at one with the poor. There were so many needs of the poor, so many needs of people dying, making sure that they did not die alone, retrieving the dying from the gutters, the streets, so they could be cared for. Within a year, Mother was able to attract many volunteers to embrace this mission of charity and compassion. They brought clothing, they brought food, they arranged available space for her and medical supplies to help the poor, to directly serve the poor. Mother Teresa taught the children. She did that by using the dirt as a chalkboard and a stick as chalk. Families and poor were visited in squalor conditions when they were ill. Yes, so many needs overwhelmed Mother Teresa, but she always had time for prayer. She knew whose she was. These volunteers were the precursors of the Missionaries of Charity before the new order was approved by the Pope. 1, 1, 1, beginning with one person served at a time. She chose the name Missionaries of Charity because as missionaries they were being sent by God to be carriers of His love. The order began with 12 and grew to 4,500 today. In the 50s and the 60s and up to now, new vocations enabled the sisters to serve those in greatest needs all over the world. This can be seen in homes for the dying, teaching orphans and children, providing treatment centers and hospitals, providing treatment for those infected by HIV/AIDS, caring for the addicted alcoholics, all ministries formed by the Missionaries of Charity to respond to the overwhelming needs of the poor. In 1971, Mother Teresa traveled to New York City and founded the first American-based House of Charity. So today, God has chosen another human person like you and I to be a saint, a person who is a model for others in radically living her life for God. She is a human being like you and I. So for all of us, it doesn't matter what we do or where we are, as long as we remember that we belong to God, that we are God's, that we are in love with God. All we do, our prayer, our work, our suffering, is for Jesus. Thank you.